Perfect. Okay,
Oops.
now I can see your presentation.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. Guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. So for everyone joining us on Facebook Live, everybody joining us here on Zoom, we're going to go ahead and get started. Please let us know whether you're on Facebook or Zoom. Let us know where you're joining us from, right? So are you at university? If so, what university are you at? Um, and let us know if you know anything about the circular economy. Do you know anything about the circular economy? Is this something you've heard about? What beast is this? Let us know. Please type that in the chat section. And if you've already got questions for Radhia, even before we begin, please make use of the Q&A section. You'll see it between the participants and chat button. So please just put down any questions you have for Radhia and we'll get into them after her presentation. So as you know, this webinar is a part of the Bongo Hive X program. And within the Bongo Hive X program, we created a student series webinars. And we've had quite a number of them. This is our 9th webinar so far since we started. And the focus is on students, right? It's on students that have ideas, students that want to innovate, that want to problem solve. And these webinars are meant to give you little taste of everything that we do at Bongo Hive, from tech to entrepreneurship, right? So we have people in the room, great minds we like to call them, that come and share their wisdom with you. We had started a session on monetizing your hobby. So you have a hobby, you have a passion. How do you monetize that? And so we've learned about how to monetize your baking hobby, event design, event planning. We've done a lot of that. And this one is taking us a little into the circular economy. And we've been learning about the circular economy or hearing about it. These are buzzwords we're hearing a lot in 2020. We're hearing about sustainability and things like that. And so we decided to tap into our hive of great minds at Bongo Hive to give us a bit more on the circular economy. And for this, we have none other than Radhia Mtonga. Radhia Mtonga is our Learning and Development Coordinator at the Social Enterprise Academy in Zambia, which is housed by Bongo Hive. And she's a social entrepreneur herself, right? She is passionate about environmental sustainability and is curious about how all of this falls into the circular economy. And so that's why we're really excited today, because this is something that Radhia lives and breathes. And we can have an honest conversation about it, a down-to-earth conversation about the circular economy. So we're quite excited to have her here and quite excited to be hosting her for the student series. I hope that all of you will stay engaged, that you'll ask questions, whether you're on Facebook or joining us here through Zoom. Please type your questions within the Q&A section. Even share your thoughts in the comments via Facebook. I'll hand over now to Radhia. Radhia, it's over to you.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Good morning. It's still morning. Yes, it's still morning. Yeah. My name is Radhia, and as Sakai has mentioned, I'm very passionate about environmental sustainability. My friends call me a tree hugger. Everybody that knows me knows I always sing about reusing, reducing, and recycling. And as my job would have it, I work with social entrepreneurs, so people that deliberately incorporate the triple bottom line into the way they do business. The triple bottom line being, you understand that the economy depends on the environment and the social sector, so the environment and the people. You put those people first before you get your profit. So those are the type of entrepreneurs that we offer learning and development and support for. Actually, if you would like to find out more about social entrepreneurship, we have another webinar tomorrow. You should check out the Bongo Hive page. That's going to be talking about how do you become a social entrepreneur, especially during this time of COVID. And I think next week as well, we will be having an online class on introduction to social enterprise. So if you want to learn how to transition into caring about the environment first and the people before you do your business, I think this is a course for you. I think Sakai will post in the chat the Social Enterprise Academy handles, just so you can stay on top of what we're doing. Yeah. So
yeah, I'll do that now.
great. Thanks. So my work and my passion naturally led me down this circular economy rabbit hole. It was such a buzzword. It's such a buzzword in the sustainability world. So I wanted to know, okay, what is it really about? So this webinar will just be me talking about my research findings. As you can see, it's a non-expert view on the circular economy. So this is going to be, as Sakai said, an honest discussion of my findings. And I encourage you to participate and, you know, challenge some of the thoughts that will come out. You know, put your thoughts down there, ask questions so we can learn from each other. Let's look at this more as peer-to-peer learning rather than me just banging on about what I know about the circular economy. Before I continue, does anybody have any expectations of what they'll get out of this webinar or this talk?
Thanks, Radhia. Everybody, please put down your expectations of this webinar. What are you expecting to learn? What are you expecting to hear, right? What are you expecting to debate on, right? Please let us know in the chat section, and I'll let Radhia know as well. Tafadza, thanks for introducing yourself. Let us know, Tafadzwa, what are you expecting to get out of this session?
Yeah.
So Tafadzwa mentions that this is actually the first session that she's ever attended or going into that shares actual details on the circular economy. And she's expecting to understand what it is, why it is important, and how it impacts our day-to-day lives, and how she can contribute. Yay, Tafadzwa, being the goal-getter, is already talking about how she can contribute. I love it. Guys, let us know what your expectations are of this session today. So Rhoda, James, Makala, Nyama, please let us know what you're expecting from this session. Even if you're joining us by Facebook, please let us know, and our team will share with Radhia what your expectations are of this session today.
Great. I think while the expectations are rolling in, Sakai, can I continue?
We have, just before you continue, we have one from Rhoda, and Rhoda is joining us from Lusaka. She's a third-year economics student, and she expects to understand your views of the circular economy and hopefully share ideas.
Great. Great. Okay.
Thanks, Rhoda. Thanks, Tafadzwa. Guys, even as Radhia continues, please share your expectations. Please share your questions for her in the Q&A section. Just keep those ideas flowing, keep those coming, and we'll discuss them as we go along. Radhia, you can continue.
Thank you, Sakai. So I'm glad to be covering, I think, most of Tafi's expectations. I will definitely talk about what the circular economy is, how it's different from our current way of doing things, okay? And even if it's different, what makes it so important? You know, why are we talking about it anyway? And then we'll go a little bit into what you can do as a business and an individual to play an active role in the circular economy, play an active role, but also I think it's rather transitioning from what we're doing now into the circular economy, because currently we have a way of doing things, like I've said. So it's going to talk about what are the things that we can do to move from what we're doing now into the circular economy. So those are the key points that I'm going to hopefully cover today. Yeah, great. So before I go into what the circular economy is, does anybody know? Tafazo, I know you keep mentioning, because you're the only one who said you don't know or have never heard. Does anybody know what the circular economy is? Just a definition. Have you read it anywhere? What do they define the circular economy as? You can type your answers in the chat.
Yeah, guys, let us know. How many of us know what this is? What does the circular economy mean, right? Is it food? Can we eat it? Is it some kind of delicacy?
Yeah.
Makala says, I am looking forward to learning, I think in response to the last question. Makala says, I'm looking forward to learning more about the circular economy. I have never heard the concept before. I am looking to start a social enterprise and would love to learn how that fits into the circular economy. Thank you, Makala. I've just shared how you can learn a bit more about the social enterprise academy within Bongo Hive, but I'll also share with you the link so you can register and learn more about how you can start a social enterprise. Rhoda says, I am not too sure, but an idea is, I think it's to do with recycling. You know, reduce, reuse, recycle, and she's laughing out loud as she shares that.
My jam. Reduce, reuse, recycle is my jam. It's my song. I sing it every day.
Nyama says, I'm not familiar with it as well. Maretta, if we have anything coming in from Facebook, please share that with us. But guys, keep these coming and I'll share with Radhia. But yeah, is it food, Radhia? Please let us know. What is it?
You know, in actual sense, it can be food, but I'll talk about that much, much later. What I'm going to talk about first is what the circular economy is not. So hopefully you all brought your t-shirts and you have them with you, just as a point of reference. I want you to think about the life cycle of a t-shirt from when it is cotton and it's harvested, from when it's planted, and from when it's taken to the manufacturers to be made into material. We're now going through the cycle, so you can see the cotton was planted and harvested and taken to the manufacturers, and then, you know, they make the material, and then the tailors make different components of the shirt, and then depending on what color it is, dye is added to this shirt. We can see our shirt here is green. This shirt is later washed, and then a label is added to it. I would actually shift the packaging to transportation there, because then it's packaged and then it's transported. We get a lot of our stuff from China. So this shirt is coming all the way from China. It's shipped here to Zambia. It goes into your favorite retail store, marketing campaigns, your favorite Instagram influencer wears it, and then you see it and then you buy it, right? You now own this shirt. But before you own this shirt, and I haven't yet reached the end of the life cycle of this shirt, we're just on you own this shirt. Just before you own this shirt, it went through this entire process. And through this entire process, resources were being taken out from the earth, right? Cotton was planted and harvested, taken out. When it went to the manufacturers, they obviously use some type of energy. So it could be oil, it could be coal or water to power their machines, right? So more resources are being taken out from the earth, but also waste is being produced. Here, when you go to, when they're dyeing the shirt, obviously chemicals are being used. Some resource was taken to create this dye, and a waste product was produced. So chemicals, these are your chemicals that go into your water, that go into your soil. For them to make the labeling, the labeling, it's obviously maybe paper. Another resource was taken from the earth, right? So a tree was cut down and they made this paper to label your shirt. So throughout this entire process, resources, again, are being taken and waste is being produced at every point in this process. So you say, okay, I don't throw my shirt away right away. I recycle it. Most of us in our homes, if you're like me, you use an old t-shirt it becomes a mop. You use it for wiping windows. You use it for wiping chairs. And you're keeping this shirt in circulation, but eventually you're going to throw it away. And where does it go? It goes into the landfill or they incinerate it. But guess what? Even ash is buried, by the way. There's some types of ash you can't just let go into the air. It has to be buried also. So this type of operating, which is what we do for all our products, by the way, this is how most of our products are produced, is called the linear economy. And the linear economy operates on the premise of take, make, dispose, right? You take resources from the earth, you make it into whatever you want to make it, and then you throw it away and forget about it. And the linear economy works on the premise that we have an infinite amount of resources. We're just taking from the earth. It also works on the premise that we have an infinite amount of away. Like you have all this space on earth to just keep throwing your trash away. That's the linear economy. The circular economy, in contrast, however, deliberately designs products to remain in circulation. First of all, they design these products to remain in circulation and to have value for as long as possible. This is to ensure that very few, little to no resources are taken from the earth to make this product, but also little to no waste is produced when you're designing your product, right? So the circular economy deliberately designs a product to be able to, first of all, to prolong its life cycle. If its life cycle can't be prolonged, it's designed so that raw materials can be extracted from this product and put back into the economy so that you don't have to touch your virgin raw materials. So that's how the circular economy works. I've done a lot of talking so far. Do you have any questions before I continue?
Thanks, Radhia. We actually have some comments coming in that have come in from Facebook that our team has shared. And from Facebook, Willa Kingston Ali says, I have not seen the objectives of the program, but I'm sure I will learn something positive, especially social media is being used for different activities, but providing a solution to a particular need is key. And Agrippa CM says, system aimed, I think this is in response to our question about what is the circular economy. Do you have any idea what this is? Agrippa says, system aimed at eliminating waste and the continual use of resources. In the Q&A section, we have something from Stephen who says, I think in response to the question about expectations and what this session will be about, Stephen Jabulani says, will it be about recycling? And I think we've started to see that, right? Initially thought it was about the cyclical economy in terms of booms and recessions. That's nice to know, Stephen. Thanks for sharing. Guys, keep your questions coming. As you've seen, Radhia has paused to answer any questions you may have. So please share those in the Q&A section if you're on Zoom. If you're on Facebook, please type that in the comments. Mwila says something to do with eliminating waste and recycling. Thanks, guys. If so far you have questions about the linear economy versus the circular economy as posed by Radhia. Please put those in the Q&A section. Please ask her questions. Please make your comments. Like she said, she wanted this to be interactive, to be peer learning. So think about it in that way. Are you like, no, the linear economy does not work in that way? Please let us know and we can get into discussing that.
Great.
So far, we don't have any other questions or comments, Radhia, so I'll allow you to continue.
Awesome. So I'll go back to my linear economy slide so that you just see the difference. So linear economy, take, make, dispose, and forget about it. Take raw materials you keep taking from the earth and not, putting it back into the way you produce your product. The circular economy, you can see it stops at the, when you get to the use, right? The lines circle back into the economy because after you've used it, can you refurbish it? Is it dead? Can you refurbish it? Can you take components of it to make a different product? Can you use it for something else? Can you put it back into the economy rather than its value has finished, it's now time to throw it away? That's what the circular economy advocates for. And you can see that I've highlighted there, it's achieved by designing products with the whole life cycle in mind. You have to design your product, thinking about it at each step. When I'm done with this t-shirt, what can it be made into? What different thing can I make out of this t-shirt? What raw materials can I take from it? Not designing it to be thrown away. So already we can start seeing the importance of the circular economy, but also, like I said, the linear economy operates on the premise that we'll always have resources. But guess what? This is what is happening right now. In 2020, we're currently using resources for 1.75 planets. So that's one Earth plus 0.75 of another planet, And by 2050, we'll need an extra planet for resources. But where are we going to get an extra planet? We only have one. There's only one Earth with the type of resources that we use right now, So where are we going to get a third planet by 2050 if we keep operating the way we operate? People keep getting born every day, consumption keeps going high, the prices of raw materials keep going high because they're what? They're depleting. The circular economy is trying to, or tries to tackle these issues, tries to stop us from taking from the earth so that, by 2050, we don't have to start looking for a different planet to exploit. I'll also talk about waste. We've talked about resources, but also waste. Every year we dump about 2.12 billion tons of waste into the landfill. That's a lot of waste, you guys. If you look at your t-shirt right now, I want you to have your t-shirt close by. It should be a point of reference. Multiply that t-shirt by 7.5 billion people on this earth. That's how many people own at least one t-shirt. And all those t-shirts are going to end up where? In the landfill. That's besides all the other clothes you own. That's besides all the other trash that you generate. So where are we putting these things? We're eventually going to run out of space to throw away our stuff. This is now where you find all the chemicals going into the water, all your plastic waste going into the water, compromising the quality of soil, compromising the quality of resources that we extract, the very resources that we need to survive as an economy. So if we keep operating in the linear economy type of way, this is where we'll eventually end up, having no earth with no resources to exploit. The circular economy is important because, again, it tries to, it mitigates this problem where we produce little to no waste, or whatever waste we produce or whatever byproducts come from the products that we produce are being put back again into the things that we want to make. Yeah. So you might be asking yourself, okay, great, Radhia, you've told us what the circular economy is, why it's important, and you know, you've highlighted all these different things, but where do I begin to get involved? An expectation also, I think, was how do I jump onto this circular economy bandwagon so that it just doesn't remain a buzzword. Excuse me. The first thing that we need to do, the biggest thing, is to change our thinking. We need to approach a lot of the things we do with a systems thinking approach. I'll give an example. I know there's a diagram there, but I'll give a different example of how nature works itself. This is the best example we can borrow from. I'll give an example of a bear in the woods. I like bears. A bear in the woods will eat berries, right? It'll go around and forage for berries. And when it eats these berries, the berries will digest in the bear's stomach. And then the bear will pass the berries as droppings. These droppings then fertilize the earth, right? The earth is fertilized, and another shrub of berries can grow because the soil is so healthy, so another shrub of berries can grow, and this bear will find some more food to eat. So the earth has already created its own circular economy. You know, the earth teaches us that everything is interconnected. We need to stop thinking about, we need to move away from the thinking that these things are all standalone processes, or the things that we do have their own consequences in their own silos. We need to start thinking everything is interconnected. Everything I do has an effect on the next thing. That's the systems thinking approach we need to take, or we need to adopt towards life. That's the first step of jumping onto the circular economy. I'll say again that in the circular economy, products are deliberately designed. You're designing this product thinking about its entire life cycle, thinking when it gets to this stage, this is what is going to happen. When it gets to this stage, it will affect this thing differently. So our first step is changing our thinking. What about for businesses? I'll talk about businesses first before we talk about individuals. And there are a few business models that you can adopt even for your small businesses. And you can see, if you see the circular economy diagram, you can jump onto any part of it doesn't have to be from the beginning when you're sourcing the material or when you're designing the product. It can be when you're manufacturing it. It can be at the end of life, or it can be during your sales and marketing. There are different types of models that you can adopt. For the purpose of time and just to explain thoroughly, we're only going to look at three business models that I think are also quite relevant for our context here in Zambia. I don't want to talk about things that are happening out there and things that we can't adopt here as ourselves. So the first business model is product life extension. How many of us know of Caterpillar and what they do? Okay.
Yes, guys. How many of us know about Caterpillar? We may have seen the logo. Thanks for sharing the logo, Radhia. But how many of us know what Caterpillar does? Please share if you do or do not. If I may get into,
Yes.
Rhoda says, interesting statistics, Radhia. I have seen the logo so many times, but I have no idea. So that's from Rhoda with reference to the Caterpillar business model, or Caterpillar as a business, yeah.
Okay.
I think we'll allow you to proceed.
Okay, great. So I can see more answers in the chat there. But
Yeah.
So Caterpillar do a wide range of things, but they also make machinery. All these what are they called? Actually, they are called Caterpillar. So all this machinery that a lot of construction company use, all those large vehicles, I don't even know what their actual names are formed by Caterpillar. They also make like construction wear, they have those safety boots. They have a wide range of products, right? So they have adopted a model that purposefully extends the life of their product, right? Material that would otherwise be wasted is maintained or improved. So if you get something from them, and maybe a part is faulty, you can take it back to them. They'll repair it, they'll upgrade it for you, or if it's dead, they'll take that thing from you and then take the pieces apart and remanufacture, make something different from the components. So you can see that there are different parts of the circular economy that they've jumped into. So they've sourced raw materials again to make something new. They've extended the life there, or they've made something new of it, or they have extended the life of the product, right? But it's an intentional design. Like it's not, don't just wait for these things to happen. The products are made that way purposefully, such that when you take it back, it can be taken apart and something new can be made. So that's the first type of business model that we can adopt. I feel like furniture businesses can adopt this model. We have a lot of people right now that are making things from wood, and we have a lot of furniture businesses in Zambia right now, a lot of bespoke everything. And this is a model that these people can adopt. You purposefully make the table such that if a leg is broken, I can bring it back to you, and we can take it apart and make it into something new, or you can repair it or upgrade it. Yeah, so that's one business model. The next business model is product as a service. I like this very much. I found it quite interesting. Philips does this, where they have this light servicing model where you don't buy the lights, you sort of rent them. Like you have a lease for the lights that you buy. And I like it because it moves us from, buying to own, but you're buying it for a convenient time. Young people such as us, or if you're like me, who moves quite a lot. I recently moved and I downsized to a smaller house, and I had to get rid of a lot of the things I had. Some of the furniture couldn't fit into where I live. And I wish I could take back some of the things to the owner and say, to where I bought them, and say, hey, I've moved to a different house. Since I leased this, can you take this back and give me something that fits where I am right now? So that's what Philip does. They'll maintain the lights for you. If their lights are dying or reaching their end of life, they'll even take them off you. And I don't know if they'll take them off you and add them into their manufacturing process and give you new lights, but they're not yours. You take them back so that the next person can use it. This also can be done for like electrical appliances. I think it's quite practical for things like electrical appliances. Like I said, if you're a young person and you're moving, you always need something different depending on where you're living currently. If you buy to own, you always have to sell. If you're moving to a different place, you have to now find somebody to buy this thing off you, you know. But if you've leased this, or you've just borrowed it from the company, you can take it back and say, oh, here's this thing, can you give me something different? And they maintain these things, and it ensures that not a lot of waste, again, has gone into the earth, and they haven't taken any more resources from anywhere to make a new product, right? Our last business model is resource recovery, which I think feeds into all the other business models I've talked about. Walt Disney, I love Walt Disney. I watch a lot of Walt Disney movies. They own resorts also. So what Walt Disney does is, in their resorts, all the excess food, all the food people throw away, you know, they don't just throw it into the garbage and then wait for it to go to the landfill. They send it to a plant nearby. Like, they have a plant that's close to their resorts, and these plants then use that food to make biogas. Then a power station, it powers their resorts, it powers all the places around them. I think Nakambala Sugar also uses this type of resource recovery model, where I remember when we traveled once to to Mazabuka, and the only place we could stay was the plantation, Nakambala Sugar. It was the only place that had power. Load shedding was quite bad then, but they had power 24/7 because they generate their own electricity that's made from all the byproducts, all the excess molasses that is made when they're trying to manufacture sugar. So those are the three business model types that you can adopt into your own business right now. If you're trying to start a business, you already have a business, and you're trying to move from the linear economy, wasting, make waste, and move to the circular economy. These are some of the business models that you can adopt. Does anybody have any questions on the business models before we proceed?
Thanks, Radhia. Chipego said, has just said resource recovery method. I like that. We have a question about who were the pioneers of this circular economy, and were their motives more than just trying to fight pollution and conserve scarce resources, if at all this was their reason, right? Chipego says, that's interesting. When they take them off me, that's if you go back to the Philips example for when you give the business model examples, when they take them off me, do they upcycle or recycle? If it is damaged or dented, does that affect the agreement? And then Chipego says, if she will let me, I'm also jumping on Rhoda's question. So Rhoda's question was, does the circular economy apply to every business model? Or well, should it? I'm thinking of a cake business, for example. How do I make that product with a whole life cycle in mind? Doesn't it end with the consumer? I'm really pensive. These are great questions, you guys. Please keep them coming.
Great.
We have 17 more minutes to go, so please get your questions in as soon as you can.
I'll answer the questions at the end, if that's all right. You probably have to go again, but I'm excited because this is getting people talking. I like it when people ask questions, and like I said, it's learning. So where I don't know, I'm sure somebody out there has an answer, and by the end of this session, I'm hoping to learn from you guys and not to be the only one that's just dropping information. Right. Great. So we talked about how businesses can jump onto the circular economy. What about you, the individual? Like I said, reduce, reuse, recycle is my jam. I sing about this every single day. my my little startup called Ulubuto advocates for this. It advocates for reducing, reusing, and recycling. How can you reduce? What can you reuse and what can you recycle? That sort of thing. So as an individual, this is a small component that you can do by yourself. I will mention that the circular economy is not just about reducing, reusing, and recycling. It just tackles a really small component of the entire thing, right? Reduce, the 3 Rs only deal with a product at the end of its life. It doesn't take into consideration the harvesting, the entire process. If you remember the process of the life cycle of the t-shirt that we saw earlier, this reusing and reducing and recycling only happens at the end. And even if you do that, like I said, your t-shirt, if it's the one that you're recycling, will inevitably reach its landfill end. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't reduce, reuse, and recycle. There's so many things that you can. I'm like the DIY queen. Everybody knows I always try to make different things from different materials. For the longest time ever, if you go to my Facebook page, I was obsessed with making earrings from different materials, from cardboard, from HDPE, PET, anything that I could find. I always tried to make earrings. This was before I transitioned into upcycling other materials. So as an individual, you want to get involved in the circular economy, you can always start from here. Care about where your plastic goes, care about where your cardboard waste goes. You need to care about where all the waste that you produce as an individual goes. Yeah, so that's a starting point for an individual. I have a little activity for all of us right now. It's going to be a little bit, it's going to be some homework. As you can see, there are 3 different things on your screen. And I want all of us to, think about what is it that you can make? What is it that you can make from these 3 different things? I'll tell you right now, for me, empty pizza box is like material heaven. There's so many things you can do with it. Again, earrings. I make trivets. You know those mats where you put hot water, like a hot pot after you've cooked. I use cardboard for a lot of things. So I'd like to challenge us right now to think of ways you can reuse these different materials. I think it's at this point that, does everybody have their t-shirt and their scissors ready?
Guys, let us know, let us know if you have your t-shirts, your scissors ready. Please type that in the chat section. And thank you for your questions, guys. We'll get into these. I'm quite excited. Rhoda says, she says already she has an idea, and she says, I think I can use the old tires to create a base for a flower pot. Yeah. Thanks, Rhoda. Sonyama and Rhoda both have their t-shirts ready. Guys, if you don't have your t-shirts, quickly grab them, grab a pair of scissors. At the beginning, we were saying grab a razor blade if you don't have a pair of scissors, but be extremely careful, please. But if you have your t-shirts ready, Radhia, I'll hand over to you to let us know what are we doing with these t-shirts and pair of scissors.
Yay. So before we get into the t-shirt and pair of scissors, so all those things that you've thought about, or anything that's in your house right now that you feel has reached the end of its useful life, please use this item to create a new product. I get excited when people do things with materials. If you have the time and you've made something new, please upload the picture to your social media and use the hashtag #GetCircular. Please tag at Ulubuto. Kindly type in the chat for me, Sakai, at Ulubuto on Facebook and Instagram, or you can tag me on Facebook and Instagram and just show me what new product you've made from whatever it is in your house that you feel has reached the end of its useful life, right? Right, okay. So we're going to get into, we're going to make DIY face masks with our old t-shirts. This is a no-sew, if you're like me and you don't have a sewing machine, or you just necessarily don't like to sew and you want a quick fix for a face mask, this is what we're going to do right now. I'm not sure if you can see me holding up my shirt. Sekai?
Yes, yes, I can see your red t-shirt.
Okay, great. So we're going to, you need to take your shirt, right? Take your shirt and your scissors and just cut like your life depends on it. You're going to cut across, you're going to cut the bottom part of your t-shirt. Really, really quickly. I'm not sure if you can see me doing that, but we're going to cut like our life depends on it. I'll also share on my Facebook page the quick tutorial video on how to do this.
Great, I'm looking forward to the tutorial video.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, the scissors I got isn't sharp. I hope yours is much sharper than mine, and they're doing this much quicker than I am right now. Also, this is a very large t-shirt. It's going to take some time to cut. Okay, let's cut the sleeve off first. Is everybody cutting? I have no way of telling if people are cutting their t-shirts.
Guys, let us know if you're cutting your t-shirts. We need a play-by-play, so please comment. Now I've cut my t-shirt. I'm waiting for the next step. Please let us know in the comment section, in the chat section. And even if you're joining us via Facebook Live, we would like to know that you're joining us and you're participating in this activity. So please let us know if you've managed to cut across your t-shirt. If you're ripping it like Radhia is doing right now, let us know.
Are you cutting your t-shirt, guys? Have a DIY mask by the end of this tutorial.
So Rhoda is saying, I'm not sure where to cut. So if you imagine your t-shirt, are we cutting right across the middle, Radhia?
Okay, great. So hold your t-shirt upside down, and you know the bottom part of the t-shirt. If you're holding your t-shirt this way, you see where the top is? This is the top and this is the bottom of the t-shirt. So you're cutting the bottom of the t-shirt off first. Does that make sense?
Thanks, Radhia. Rhoda, please let us know if that helps. Nyama says, I'm observing first. So Nyama doesn't want to make any mistakes. So just observing, where is this going? What's going on?
I promise
so Rhoda says, thank you. So thank you for letting us know again, Radhia, how to cut across our t-shirts.
So then I asked you to bring a ruler so we could measure, but that's going to take some time. I'll post a clearer video on my page and you guys can follow. You can play right now and just cut. We're cutting a second section. So after we've taken the bottom off, we're cutting another part of the t-shirt off. Can you see how much I've cut?
What part of the what part of the t-shirt is that, Radhia, that we're cutting, that other section?
We're still at the bottom right now.
Okay.
We cut the bottom and we're cutting again. So we're cutting off about this much. We're cutting off about this much. Rhoda, can you see, and everybody else?
Yeah, guys, let us know. Chipego has joined Nyama and is like, yeah, I think I will also observe first. James says that he got too excited and went too far with the cutting and might need another t-shirt.
I don't think so.
Thanks for sharing, guys.
Thanks
for sharing, guys.
Thanks for sharing, guys, and thanks for being part of this tutorial. At this point, you can just go ahead and rip it.
So Rhoda says she can see, so she could see the little section you were showing us, but she says, yes, I can, but I'm now thinking I should wait for you to post that video. So guys, please follow Bongo Hive and follow Radhia. I'll share the handles soon, just so that you can see that video and Radhia posted. It's going to be a lot clearer, so you'll know when she talks about the section, what section that is. If you've been following along and you think you've got it, please let us know. Like, I know I'm cutting the same exact thing as Radhia. Please let us know.
Okay. So when you've cut your t-shirt, you have something that looks like this. Just imagine you're cutting a rug to wipe your windows with. The same amount to cut to, you know, from your t-shirt to wipe your windows with. So you have something that looks like this. Okay.
So it's like a long loop, right? Like one of those scarves that has no end.
Yes. Actually, so you see, that's something that can be done even before we make a DIY mask. This could be, we're now in winter, and if you cut this was an extra large t-shirt, you can just put it around your neck and pretend it's a scarf. That's increasing the life of your t-shirt as well. Okay. So you're cutting the loop across. This is going to be a very large mask. Are you guys still with me? I don't even know what progress we're making right now.
Guys, are you with us? Let us know. Are you following? Let us know in the chat. So Nyama says, I have respect for your level of creativity. Chipego and Rhoda are both saying they are here. Thanks, guys. Thanks for letting us know. If you're here with us, continue to engage, continue to share your ideas for how you're going to use the old mattress, the tire, I forget the third thing, but let us know how you're going to be using those and reinventing them.
Okay, guys. So for the sake of time, so you have a little piece that looks like this, right? You have a little piece that looks like this. And remember the first part of the shirt that you cut off, these will be your strings that you tie behind your, is it behind your neck or behind your head? In the video, because I'm placing this down, I'll show you how to fold. You just fold across, you place your little loops and fold across, and you hold it like that. It'll look better by the time I'm done, I promise. And you tie those behind your ear. What's the medically acceptable way? Behind your ear.
Yes.
Yeah. And you pull the rope, you notice that it cinches on the side. You pull your rope. And you have a DIY mask.
Have you guys seen that? Have you guys seen
Here's your DIY
a no-sew DIY mask? I think, like Nyama, I have respect for your level of creativity.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You guys are welcome. So I'll post the video on my Facebook page so that you guys can make a proper one for yourselves. So
guys, this is a business opportunity, I think. If we are sharp, we'll see it.
Yeah, I have so many of these because first of all, the material is really thick and you can easily take it apart and wash it and hang it and it will dry. Also because I'm always forgetting my masks everywhere. Yeah. So yeah, that was my presentation and my little tutorial. I hope after this we all get circular with it, jump onto the circular economy, find ways of improving what we're doing right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I think we can go into the questions really quickly. You guys have been so engaged. Thank you. I'm going to ask for an extra 5 minutes of your time to answer one or two of your questions. I think we got really engaged in that activity. Thank you. Chipego says, oh, Rhoda says nice. And Chipego says, totally didn't expect it to end that way, nice. And Tafadzwa is saying, thanks a lot, this was useful. Thank you guys, thank you for staying engaged. If you have any more questions, a lot of you were asking questions and asking about definitions and things like that. Please follow Radhia using the links that she's shared, as well as the ones that I've shared in the comment section, and ask her questions. So to go into a few of these questions, I see you guys are still here, so that's good. So our first question was from Nyama. Who were the pioneers of this circular economy, and were their motives more than just trying to fight pollution and conserve scarce resources, if at all this was their reason? Chipego says that's interesting. When they take them off me, do they upcycle or recycle? If it is damaged or dented, does that affect the agreement? And this is when we were looking at the different business models. This looks similar to Caterpillar and to Philips. And then we have which of these business models would apply to markets, for example, Soweto. And then they were also asking you to define some of the acronyms you were using, like PPT, SPDT. What do those mean, right? Yes.
Okay.
So I can jump on the question about pioneers, but let's start with the other one, if you like, with upcycle, recycle, and does that affect the agreement?
I'll be very honest and say I haven't. I think I haven't gone into like that deep into what Philips does with their lease and lights agreement, but a lease, I'm sure a lease comes with certain T's and C's, right? But they deliberately, again, they deliberately talk about actually advocating for the circular economy. So I think if you take it back to them damaged or if you take it to them damaged or unusable, I think part of your, if you agree that you're going to lease it for, I don't know, 3,000 kwacha, probably works like a security deposit when you put down on a house. So if something is damaged, money is taken off you, but they'll still take it from you. If you remember what the slides say, they'll take it from you, maintain it for you, or give you a new light. But I'm pretty sure it affects the agreement on both sides in terms of money. What I didn't mention, or what I should have mentioned, because I was singing the gospel of the circular economy, is that it does have its problems. It's not a it's not a the only solution or the best solution right now, but it is a solution better than what we're doing. Again, I'll share resources on some of the things I've read about the circular economy, but it does have its problems. And I'm sure money will come into play. You know, obviously when you take back a damaged good, even anywhere right now, you're not going to receive the same amount of money in terms of value as you got it when you got it new. So that's I think that's the question on Philips and Caterpillar. To define HDPE, PPE, sorry, these are different types of plastic. So HDPE is your Maheo bottle, or your opaque things, your Maheo bottle, your Domestos bottle. That's a harder type of plastic. PET, is clear plastic. So your water bottles, you know that plastic casing around, if you buy a 6-pack of something, that plastic casing, all that is PET. So when you're recycling, if you ever take your recyclables to like a recycle center, different grades of plastic fetch different types of money. Right now, the most popular, or whatever will get you the most money, is HDPE and PET. You should also check, whenever you buy something, check the bottom of the bottle or the bottom of the casing or packaging. They always put, first of all, the number of the the material, and they'll also indicate the name. So those are the abbreviations that I was using. Have I missed a question? Pioneers of circular economy. Circular economy, I think, dates back to the 1960s, 1975. And this, yeah, you want to jump in, Sakai. This was used predominantly because people didn't have resources. I think this was after one of the wars. So people didn't have—
World War II, yeah.
Yes, they didn't have that many resources anyway. So they had to find a way of using whatever they had to make new things. I'll give you an example of right now, COVID, you know. Before I moved again to where I am right now, I lived very, very far away, and I used to bulk buy. And what I had to learn to use whatever I had in my house at the moment to make whatever I needed, because I couldn't just go out there and get new resources. That's exactly how the circular economy came into play before all these economists and researchers did research on it and started talking about it. So it's not a new phenomenon, it's quite old. It's just that, yeah, it has resurfaced now. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like there's several schools of thought, and I'll share some, and Radhia will share some of her resources. So some of them are based on, she was talking about ecosystems, some of them being based on the environment, for example, some of them being based on the way that the oceans work, the way that animals work. And Radhia talked about how she loves bears and how they fit into the natural ecosystem. Some of them had to do with productivity, right? So how do you move from manpower to energy? How do we use energy better? So it was like Radhia was saying, after World War II and all of that going on, people going into this phase where it's like, okay, what's going on? How can we make sure that we use the little resources that we have better, right? So I'll share some links with you if you like to read up some more on the circular economy and how the different schools of thought, how did we arrive at the loop? You shared, Radhia, in one of your slides about cradle to cradle, right? How did that come up? Why those words? Why that thinking? So we'll share those links with you.
Yeah. The last question, I think.
Pardon?
The last question that interested me was what business model would work for Soweto market? I think resource recovery is something that there's a lot of bio waste that's produced at Soweto market. Probably why it smells the way it smells. So there's a lot of food waste. There's a lot of, again, bio waste. So if somebody could find a way to harness all that bio waste and find a way to produce energy from it, or take that bio waste and find a way to add it back into like soil so that people can grow more vegetables. I don't know, the marketeers themselves could start a start a little farm where they take all their waste, put all the food waste into their soil and use it as manure, and then they grow their own vegetables rather than ordering all the time. So I think resource recovery could be a business model that could work for a place like Soweto Market. I don't know what you think.
I think that was shared by Nyama. Nyama, do you think that that applies, that that could be applied to the Soweto Market case? I think it would. What do you think? Rhoda, I think this also ties into Rhoda's question, and this will be the last question that we take before we close. Thank you for staying on, guys. And Rhoda's question was, does the circular economy apply to every business model? If you are a cake baker, for example, how do you think about the whole life cycle of your product? How do you keep that in mind? And doesn't it end with the consumer? Does the responsibility of what happens to the cake after remain with the consumer? So do let us know, Radhia.
Yeah. So like I said, I have a t-shirt all over me. So like I said, the circular economy has its faults and doesn't fit for everything, you know. And if you've noticed, we've just been talking about products, but there are also services that we also consume services, right? And a lot of resources go into producing services. So I'm hoping a school of thought will come that will cover those shortcomings. But if you're a cake maker, you could think of, you obviously deliver that cake through, I don't know, you put it in a box, it's packaged one way or another. You could think of sustainable ways of, I don't know, recovering your cake box, because your consumer will use their cake box and throw it away. You could find a more eco-friendly way of packaging your cake box, and you tell your customers, okay, once you're done using the cake, could I take the cake box back? And you know, you get a discount of so on and so forth, and you find something to do with your cake box. You could even use your cake boxes, if you're a cake maker, you could use your cake boxes to make, you know, those things you stick in the cake that say happy birthday. You could recover those boxes from your customers and, you know, use them for a different type of business, for a different component of the cake making business. So you've recovered resources. It's not exactly the cake itself, but a lot goes into making the cake, right? So that's just an example of how you can think around things like cake making. I hope I've answered your question, Rhoda.
Thanks, Radhia. She says thank you. I think, guys, it all goes back to what Radhia was saying in closing. It all goes back to what Radhia was saying about systems thinking, right? Changing our mindset. So it's not just the cake, it's everything that goes with the cake. So it's not just that one thing, it's everything that goes with it. Like Radhia was sharing with us all the different steps that go into producing one item and getting that item to us. So as somebody that's running a business, whether that is food or anything else really, put it down, put down your entire product cycle, put it down on paper and say, is there anywhere along this journey that I could be circular, that I could start thinking about how this goes back and is good for the planet and is good for people, right? So do that no matter what it is, what business you're doing, what idea you have. Thank you so much for staying engaged. James says, thank you, Radhia. Very eye-opening insights. Thank you, guys. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us and staying engaged. Radhia, thank you so much for taking the time in between preparing for different webinars and all of your other SCA and Bongo Hive work, taking the time to be here for our student webinars, our student series. Thank you so much. We've had requests from Chipego here giving us content really about, okay, we need to take this a step further. Let's dissect these business models, go into each one of them and see how they can apply to the Zambian setting. So like I said, like I promised Chipego, I'm going to go back to Radhia and the SCA team and be like, guys, can we make this happen? And we'll get back to you. So please join our WhatsApp group so that we can continue talking about this and talking about what else we could possibly offer you, other lessons and skills that we could provide you as a student innovator. Thank you so much, you guys. Please, if you'd like to go back and listen to what Radhia shared with us, please go back to the link that I've shared. So it's bongohive.co.zm/webinars, and you'll find all of the webinars that we've hosted before. You register for our student series. You can register for some of the Social Enterprise Academy webinars as well. You'll find a lot of rich content there. So we have all of these. By 5 p.m. today, you'll be able to go back and take a look. Radhia, I'll allow you to give us one last nugget, one last word before we let everybody go.
I think I've already talked everybody's ear off. I just want to, I'm just thankful that everybody was engaged, and I hope I've left something with everybody to think about. And I really do hope we start to transition towards the circular economy. If you have questions, if you'd like to chat in depth about this, please feel free to reach out. My email address is there. Those are the places that you can find me. I just want, thank you for having me, Sakai. And I hope to do this soon again. I actually enjoyed it. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. We're free to go now. Have a beautiful day.
Bye, everybody.